Hello, BADM 107 students. Once again, all my videos of my lectures were done first. So consequently, I have this bushy hairdo because you're caught at home during the COVID-19 pandemic. And suddenly, here we go with a new hairdo. I finally got my hair cut. My wife did it. So now I'm dashingly handsome instead of a messy professor. That being said, this video is concerning the contract assignment. Now, the contract assignment is posted on eLearn, so this is merely the instructions that relate to that. In my introductory lecture, I mentioned that there were some advantages to these terrible videos of mine. And the first is that you can never miss a lecture. Okay, something happens, you can't get to class, you miss a lecture, then it's hard to make up, right? But now you get to do the lectures whenever you want. And also you can backtrack, you can rewind and pick up something that you missed, or it's also there available when you decide to study for the exam. Well, it's also an advantage to me to do the lectures, particularly with respect to this assignment, because what I found in the past in the class, I do this. I go through a very detailed explanation of how to do the assignment. And students don't listen, or there's an important text and you got to just work on that, or you're trying to do the math assignment and listen at the same time, and you miss things, and then you email me and you ask a question. This way, when you do that, and I've actually had students email me after all that explanation and say, I don't understand, what am I supposed to do? The instructions plus this video should be sufficient, all right? And you go, oh yeah, but wait a minute, I haven't done contracts yet. I mean, you haven't lectured on contract. I mean, how do I know what to do? Well, people out in the real world are drafting contracts, either themselves and they know it, or themselves inadvertently and they don't even know it's a contract, or they're getting their lawyers to do it and they haven't had my course. So what this does is put you in that position where you're doing this contract and gosh, what goes into it, okay? And so it's a learning exercise, which means you're doing it before you actually are told about contracts. I don't tell you how to do it, you do it, and by doing it, you'll learn more. All right. Here goes. We have a business scenario, which I've given you on eLearn, and I've given you a precedent. And what you're going to do is learn some practicalities, whereas the textbook teaches you the academic side of contracts. This will teach you the practical side. So you take the scenario and you put it into the precedent. And so it's a relatively straightforward process, and you're thinking, then why do I do it? Well, because you will learn about what should go into contracts and perhaps some things why they should be taken out. And in the written instructions it says, because it also fills in that gap, but it also tells you when you're dealing with a lawyer what you can do in order to reduce your legal expenses. I had one client come into me and he said, I needed a supplier agreement done, and he said, how much? And I said, it'll be about $1,500, and it could go up from there. And he went, oh man, wow. And I said, hey, Vince, what did I tell you? I said, if you come in with all your ducks in a row, all the information that I need, and give it to me, and you say draft a contract, it will come in at less in the way of fees, because I don't have to do grunt work. I don't have to look up addresses. I don't have to do telephone numbers. I don't have to look at the pricing structure that I should be putting in there or ask questions of you. So you can reduce the legal fees. And that contract for Vince came in at about $950, okay? So you can save a substantial amount of money. What do? Well, you take the business scenario and you put it into the precedent. You take the names of the parties and you put it in there. You take the information about what they're buying, you put it in there. You put in the prices they're buying, when the payments are going to be made, the calculations of interest, Then you go to the bottom and you put in the signature lines. We've already talked about signature lines in the very first lecture. So you put in the signature lines that are appropriate, and then you hand it in. Okay. I mark it, then we'll have a session. Hopefully by then I'll be able to do it online, in person, because I'm trying to learn as we go along. And we'll go through and I'll say, okay, this is what you did, and this is what you should have done, and this clause is in there because of this, and this clause is in there because of that. And then you'll learn a lot about the drafting of contracts as opposed to the academic side. It sounds relatively straightforward. You just take the information and you put it in. There's a blank there for the buyer. There's a blank there for the seller. Oh, there. It's not quite as simple as that, okay? And the reason is that this is a very good precedent. But I, as a lawyer, am not omnipotent. I can't say, okay, in 2 weeks from now, Benton Counter's going to come in and he's going to want me to draft a contract, and oh, I see everything that should go in there. No, I have a precedent. Why? If I had to start drafting a contract from scratch for every one of my clients, the price would be $1,500 going up from there. But because I can use a precedent, I can reduce the amount that I charge my clients and reduce the amount of work that I have to do. Okay? So, my precedent is not perfect. You have to look at it and say, okay, this clause, I don't think that should be in there. Oh, what's this term? I don't know what that term is. That shouldn't be in there. So you might take out a clause or two, or you might take out a term or two, or you find a term and you go, oh, I don't know what that means. Oh, I better take it out. No, it might be appropriate. So you have to do a little bit of research, find out what that term means. Okay, it should stay in there. But basically it comes down to identifying the correct parties, putting in the pricing and everything to reflect their deal, doing the calculations, and getting the signature lines done correctly, okay? If you put in the minimum amount of work, this assignment is really hard to fail, okay? So you put in the minimum amount of work, you're going to get 60 to 65%. You work out a little bit more, you think about it, you take some time, you're going to be up in the low to mid 70s, okay? B minus to a B. Work at it a lot harder, you'll be a B plus A student, okay? So it's really hard to fail. Now, some students manage, okay? They actually go out of their way. They leave it until the last minute, they're rushed, they do a sloppy job, and gosh, they fail. Or what they do is, oh my gosh, it's due tomorrow. I'm going to call up my friend Hassad, and I'm going to say, Hassad, have you done it yet? Yes, I have. Can you just show me what you've done? Because I'm in a bind here. And Hassad, because he's your friend, will go, oh, okay, yeah, sure. Here's my memory stick. And you go, okay, now I can look at that and I can go, oh, great. And then I can draft it myself. Or why don't I just copy it? I mean, Peter's going to get a whole bunch of these, and everybody's using the same precedent. He'll never know that I copied, and you will fail. I should patent it, a patented marking guide, and as I go through, I look for identical things, okay? If you draft it separately, even using the same precedent, it will come out differently, okay? And usually people that cheat like that, they're sloppy and they're lazy, and one of them will make a whole bunch of silly errors, and I'll go, oh wow, those are really bad errors. And then I'll go, oh wow, those are really bad errors, and I've seen those before. Okay? I will call you on cheating. I will give you a 0 for the assignment. I will report you to the administration and let it go from there. You cheat 3 times, I think the rule is, and you get kicked out of the university. So why bother? Okay? Why not just do it? All right? Anyway, so you do that. Now you finished your contract assignment. You email it to me. I'm going to mark it online. I've never done this before, but I've tried it with an assignment that I received last year by email. although students were supposed to give me hard copies. Anyway, I went through and I thought, okay, I can do this. It'll probably take me a little longer than in the past, but I can do it. All right, so far so good. There are three formats. There is an informal sort of letter of agreement type. There's an invoice type of contract, and then there's a formal contract. This particular purchase would generally be done by an invoice type. Okay, so on the front of the invoice, it would say what's being purchased, the price, and then over on the back in mice type, there would be all the terms and conditions relating to that. Okay, and then both parties are supposed to sign the front. For this assignment, because we want to learn more about the content of a formal contract, it's going to be much more detailed, so I would prefer if you used the precedent that I gave you. Now, you want to be fair to both parties, okay? So you want to look to see what would be the most fair for Peak Performance Pontoons, and then you look to see what would be most fair for Bill Gates doing business as Microhard Computers, and realizing that something might look unfair for one party, but be fair to the other party and appropriate under the circumstances. I'll say no more about that right now. Okay, so you do this assignment, and when I give it back to you, we will review it in class, and I'll talk to you about, well, you see, this execution and counterparts clause, or this force majeure clause, should have been taken out or should have been put in for these reasons, all right? Now, if you start going through this precedent, you're going, okay, I don't know what that means, so I'm going to take it out. Okay, I don't know what that means, so I'm going to take it out. Okay, this clause, I don't know whether it belongs or not, so I'm going to take it out. Stop and think. I said the precedent isn't perfect for every scenario that's going to come in the door of my law firm. But if that precedent had to have this clause taken out, maybe put this one in, take that one out, oh, this doesn't apply, it wouldn't be much of a precedent, would it? Okay, so obviously you don't or shouldn't be taking out too much. How long should this take you? We had to give an estimate to the university, and I asked my students, and they said, 2 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. So I sort of said it should take no more than 8 hours. Okay, it's the 4th hour equivalent, which means every week there's supposed to be 1 more hour of lecture. Well, there's 13 weeks, so it should take, or should apply as the 4th hour equivalent for about 13 hours. Well, it's 8. Okay, so it's well within the parameters. And then when we go over it, okay, that adds some more hours for the 4th hour equivalent. All right, so you hand it in, I mark it, I give it back to you. Then we'll have a session where I go through and I explain all about the clauses. Then I give you a handout. The quiz, which is later on in the term, will be on only that material, okay? Only that material. So if you say, well, how much of the quiz will be from chapter 3, and will there be anything from chapter 9? I'm going to go, what are you talking about? Okay, only the material that we go over when we review the contract assignment and some information that I'll hand out is what you will be tested on in the quiz, all right? So let's get back to how you do the assignment. You can do it individually. I don't like working in groups. Man, I have a hard time getting together with them. I don't like it. Some people don't pull their weight. Do it yourself. Hand in 1 emailed copy. And then there'll be a couple of students who work well together and they're friends, and so they'll say, well, let's do it together. That's a team of 2, okay? The 2 of you, of course, can discuss it between yourselves, and then, of course, you hand in 1 assignment. Okay, don't hand in 2 because they'll look identical and they'll think you've cheated. Okay, so a group of 2 hands in 1 assignment. A team of 3, same thing. You discuss it amongst yourselves. You hand in 1 assignment for all 3 of you. Where you have to be extremely careful is you can discuss it with other people, but you have to do the drafting in your group or in your team or separately. All right, so you're talking with someone, over coffee in the cafeteria. Well, it won't happen this time, will it? You're talking to someone FaceTime, sipping coffee in your separate places, and you say, this contract, I think there should be a force majeure clause. There's a force majeure clause. What's that? Well, that's a clause that suspends the contract if a plant burns down or something. Okay, maybe a force majeure clause is in there. Have you got one? Can you give it to me? No. Okay. You can discuss, force majeure clause may be appropriate. I don't know whether it is, actually. I haven't thought it through. But it may be appropriate. Yeah, okay. And then you both go your separate ways and draft it separately. All right? Otherwise, that's cheating. You can get together and you can say, how should the math calculations be done? Should it be on a per annum basis or should it be monthly? Oh, gee, I don't know. I talked to a math instructor and they said they thought, based on what was in the problem, it should be monthly. Pardon me. Okay. Well, how did you do it monthly? Oh, here's my figures. Oh, yeah, okay. And then you're going to copy their figures. Now, the problem with that is it should have been monthly. They've got it wrong. You get it wrong and they're identical and I call you on cheating. Or it should be per annum. And the calculations are the same. I'm going to call you on cheating. Okay, so don't do that. You can discuss it all you want. I mean, as a lawyer, I phone up someone and I say, I've got this contract. Should there be a execution and counterparts in there? Do you think? And they'll say, yeah, sure. And I'll say, okay, thanks. I'm not going to say, help me draft this, will you? Okay. Why would they? I mean, they'd have to charge me. Okay, I can go off and do it myself. Same thing for you. You cannot trade memory sticks and things like that, okay? Every year, a couple of people do it, or a couple of teams do it, and I call them on it, and it's all, I didn't understand what you meant by that. Well, it's in the written materials, instructions, and I've just said it verbally, so I'm gonna call you on it if you do that. I think that is everything. So what you should do is you should quickly go through the contract assignment, begin to do it, and then if you have questions, you can either email me or if I can set up a Microsoft Teams thing or something, then we can all go online and I can deal with the questions then. All right. Thank you very much.